Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Saxon Club. DJ Yoakley, John Armeni, and of course, we got Steve Leslie on the other side. Before we get started, Coach, I just want to thank everybody that took a part of this and sat down with us, including yourself, here for the MVCA YSN Playoff Preview Show. It's been awesome to be able to get all these great coaches in one spot. Obviously, talking shop in the background, which I know you love. You love hearing some of the stories, and so do we. And that's the beautiful thing about this is now we get to go hear the stories. And collect on some pizza too. So, Coach, before we get started about your awesome season this year, let's talk about the MVCA and why it's so important in this area to get coaches involved and obviously for the student athletes.
It's a great league, but anytime that you have an organization like the Mahoning Valley Coaches Association, it's nice to start getting some young blood. I feel like in the last few years you've seen a turnover here. And it's important to get young coaches involved. So organizations like this who do so much for kids, keep going and, keep doing all those things for the kids.
I think Coach Luke actually said you were one of the Wiley veterans. That's the first time I've ever heard that before. We're almost the same age. I felt a little old.
Yeah, it makes me feel old. Yeah, but I coached Jason at Western Reserve, which seems like forever ago. But, yeah, he doesn't let me forget that. The gray hair kind of gives it away, too, a little bit. But,
I wish I had a little bit of that. This has been a magical season for you. I mean, one that you felt you were going to have a strong season. Did you ever really think about 9-1, being number one in the region, being a powerhouse, and everybody looking and saying, hey, how do we beat Labrae?
Expectations were high, and I think they're always high for us. We want to make the playoffs. We want to win football games, and we really, it sounds like lip service, but we really expect to be 10-0 every year. And we got 90% of it done. We let one get away. We struggled a little bit against a very, very good football team in Garrettsville Garfield, but we've learned from it. And we've grown the last few weeks, in the 6 weeks after that during the regular season.
When you have a team like you have, it's almost like an appetizer, the regular season, because now it's the real season. It's what you worked so hard for. It's what these kids, wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go lift and put in the extra reps. Do you see a change already in your guys? Did you see it from 2 nights ago to right now?
Yeah, we didn't celebrate the victory much on Friday night, because they're anxious to get work again. We told them this is like 10 scrimmages, because it really counts now. The winner go home, the survivor in advance type mentality that we try to put in their brains from December all the way through now, October, and hopefully that pays off. And we got a lot of seniors that don't want this to be their last game. So hopefully, that comes out in their play and they fight to survive.
Stevie?
We were with you a couple weeks ago at the stadium. To play a home game, obviously, is a key. Saturday games, talk about that a little bit. Will anything change for you guys? Obviously, you get another day, no doubt. Maybe talk a little bit about the week ahead for the Labrae Vikings.
This isn't our first rodeo. We've been lucky. We've been in the playoffs before. We've played on Saturdays before, too. So, we have a schedule that we like to keep. We kind of treat Monday like a Saturday film day with adjustments, and then we start getting into our work days in the week, and we start scaling it back for pregame on Friday. So it adds a little bit of extra time, but we like to keep them fresh. We don't want to overload them,
Does it get anxious? I guess is my question. I wanted to ask that to everybody playing Saturday. Do you get anxious when you're used to that Friday night pattern?
100%, especially too when the other divisions are playing on Friday. So you're sitting there and you're hearing games, you're seeing the updates on Twitter, the YSN updates on Twitter, YSN games on Twitter, and you're like, well, what's going on? Why are we playing? You kind of get that weird, anxious feeling. But like I said, it's not. We've been lucky. This isn't the first time we played on Saturday, so it's not out of the ordinary.
So you talk about tape. We've talked about huddle already, but the craziest part to me is always waiting for who you're going to play that first week, because everything else kind of lines up off of this. But if you watch or look at Joe Idle, and I know you're a guy that kind of keeps your eye one screen and another. If you look at Joe Idle, you kind of know who you're going to play because he's the official guy. We found out. We peeked behind the curtain. Did you know that?
I did.
I had no clue.
I saw him talking with Coach over here.
That was a huge surprise to me. So what's going to happen after you play. So when you know that's going to happen, how quickly do you go after that tape?
Well, our region, there were a lot of, could be's, what ifs.
Right. That was a tight region.
Yeah, and there were lots of games that on Friday night counted. A lot of second-level games, too.
Yeah.
On Friday night, we met as a staff, and we kind of figured it all out before it became official, so we had a, working knowledge of it. My offensive coordinator, Joe Mulcano, who's been with me since I got hired, is a little bit of a mathematician. He's pretty good at crunching the numbers, and he was on the money. We kind of knew who we were going to play. We found out, by a very slim margin that we would be the 1 seed, so we can kind of play out the brackets and who was going to, be where. So we did know Friday night before it became official. But it going into the week, it was anything but. It was still a pretty big toss-up.
All right, so that 1 seed, giant target on your back, right? You're going to get everybody's best shot. Do you embrace that, or is that one thing that you're telling your kids, hey, beware?
I think we've already gotten that. I think when you establish yourself as a team that knows how to take care of business, that you get everybody's best shot. I thought Liberty played their best game against us a couple weeks ago, and man, were they ready to go?
How impressive is that team?
Wow, man, they
and they were ready to go again this past week against Garrett.
Night and day.
Yes.
Night and day. Where they started and where they are. You can't give Coach Simon and that staff and those players enough credit.
No doubt.
And I thought we got their best shot. Our guys are used to that. And that's the good thing about, developing a program, about being competitive year in and year out, that you get that, so they're used to that, and also, in our region, I think some of our kids, are still honey, which is the nice thing. Everybody says, do you want to play Springfield? Yeah, absolutely want to play Springfield. Our kids, see where they've been, and they want to be there, and to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Woo!
So I think until that happens, how could you not consider Bo Brungard and Springfield the favorite in that region? Seeding aside, so I still think we are the hunter, in regards to the seeding.
I love it.
I love the answer. How good is this region?
Probably one of the better ones in the state. We thought, our staff, internally thought that there are 3 or 4 really, really good football teams, and then there are 3 or 4 teams that are scary. Scary for matchups based on what they do or the guys they have lining up that could win on any given night. So you can't say that about every region.
No.
So I really think that the region is pretty deep and pretty good. And then you have a team like Canton Central Catholic sitting at the bottom half of the bracket.
Plays a good schedule.
Yep, and a good program, tough kids. They're going to come hit you in the mouth. Yep. So you got to be ready to go. When you're that 4 seed with that matchup, you better be ready to go. Because you're gonna get a game from them.
One of my favorite guys right here, the head coach of the Labrae Vikings, John Armeni, joining us here on the post game. You get to be the last guy on the show, batting clean up a little bit, knocking everybody in.
Well, I was hiding out in the back a little bit.
You're on as YSN as much as I am now.
Yeah, tried to delay it a little bit.
It's incredible. All right, when you look at a room full of these guys, what does it mean to you?
It's really humbling. I like to know my role and know my place, and I like to try to keep myself grounded. When you're talking to a Sean Guerrero and a Brian Fedeschi and a Dan Yeagley, it's pretty humbling. So when you start thinking that you've done something, you need to talk to those guys, because they've created mountains, and we're still on molehills, so it's nice to be in a room with those guys, and you always pick something up. Picking coaches' brains is a real big part of this business. Finding out what they thought of this opponent or that opponent or what they've had success doing. It's invaluable. And if you're a football coach in this valley and you're not in this room, you're missing out.
You need to be a part of it.
Yeah, you're missing out.
There's no question.
We have sat down with some of the best tonight, Steve, and
I agree with everything Coach says. I think, Coach, the biggest thing that I get and being a part of it, everyone's rooting for one another. Yeah, there's going to be a couple local matchups somewhere down the road, but every coach in this room wants to see the other coach succeed. And let's be honest, coaching is not an easy situation in today's world. It's a lot of critics. There's a lot of things that go on, but this association's the best. You hit it right in the head.
Yeah, we root for each other in the valley. It's a valley thing. It's a Mahoning Valley thing. It's a Trumbull County, Mahoning Valley, Columbiana County thing. It's one of the first things I do, is pick up the paper and look at the scores. Sure. Who's having success, who's struggling, how did our opponents do, and we certainly, root for the other teams in our league. We really do, because when we play them, we want them to be good.
Yep.
I want to play teams that are 4-0, 5-0, 6-0. because it gives you what you want, which is testing your program. You don't learn much, from teams that are struggling. I think what I've found out to be true is that you learn more when you have to face someone really good, when you are put up against it, when you are backed into a corner. And that's what we want.
You have some of the rowdiest, ruckus fans we've ever seen on YSN. They are a special, special group. Talk about how nice it is to have that group, and they travel so well.
Yes, they do.
So well. How nice is that to have it, almost like a 12th man?
It's a community that loves football. It's always been that. That's not something that we've done. That community's loved football for a long time. They're very proud.
Right? You see that, Mogador? They want the Mogador one already?
Yeah. Certainly. Yeah. We, one at a time here, one day at a time. But yeah, it's a community that loves football. It's a blue collar, hardworking community that raises hardworking young men. And it's really humbling to be part of it.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck in the playoffs. We love you. Anything you need, we're always here for you. Those boys, I hope you have a hell of a run, man. Some of the matchups you guys could have could be the best games and best memories they'll have for 20, 30 years. So best of luck to you.
And thank you so much for doing what you guys do. The exposure, giving our community members and people around the state. I have a best friend who lives in D.C. who watched our playoff game, watched our Week 10 game last week, who will watch our playoff game. And he's 5 hours away. Awesome. The service that you guys provided is invaluable.
That's great to hear.
It was awesome to have all these coaches on these. The greatness in this room is unbelievable. I can't wait to go hear some stories. Yeah. So we're gonna go do that. That is the wrap on the playoff preview show brought to you by the MVCA and YSN, and of course our great sponsors, the Saxon Club and Bellaria. For more information, head on over to ysnlive.com. We have a story up right now about everybody in the playoffs, and we'll have the graphics coming soon so you can share those and get ready for your playoff run as well. For Steve Leslie, Coach Armeni, I'm DJ Oakley saying good night, everybody, from the Saxon Club.